Chicago weather update. Right now, it's 90.
More fiber and laxatives, eh? Who are you? I'm future you. Future me? Constipation with belly pain still coming back? Our doctor figured it out. It's irritable bowel syndrome with constipation, or IBS-C. And Linzess could help you get ahead of it.
Linzess linaclotide is a prescription medicine that treats IBS-C in adults. It's not a laxative. It's a once-daily pill that helps you get ahead of your symptoms. It's proven to help you have more frequent and complete bowel movements and helps relieve overall abdominal symptoms, belly pain, discomfort, and bloating. These symptoms were studied in combination, not individually. Do not give Linzess to children less than 2. It may harm them. Do not take Linzess if you have a bowel blockage. Get immediate help if you develop unusual or severe stomach pain, especially with bloody or black stools. The most common side effect is diarrhea, sometimes severe. If it's severe, stop taking Linzess and call your doctor right away. Other side effects include gas, stomach area pain, and swelling. Talk to your doctor and say yes to Linzess. Learn more at linzess.com or call 1-800-LINZESS.
Because facts matter. You're listening to WCPT 820.
Get home with Patti Vasquez, Patti Vasquez.
From global conflicts to greenhouse gases, the folks refusing to wear masks says, and politicians getting caught grabbing asses says, she's driving it home with Patti Vasquez.
Oh, I'm so embarrassed to disappoint you all today. This is Ben Cominos filling in for Patti Vasquez. Super thrilled to be here talking with you guys. I am here on Driving It Home with Patti Vasquez on WCPT, the Heartland Signal, and Alternative Talk, 1150 KKNW in Seattle. Shout out to Minocqua Brewing, Source Solar, and Kids Above All for making this all possible for Patti regularly and for little old me just this one Friday evening. If you guys don't recognize the voice that you're listening to right now, I'm the guy from WHBY Radio up in Appleton, Wisconsin, originally from Pittsburgh. I do a recurring segment with Patti every other Tuesday where I'm typically screaming about whatever just happens to be on my mind at that particular moment, and we have a lot of fun doing it. So when I found out that she wasn't going to be able to do the show today and they asked me to do it, I said I'd love to come down here and talk to all you guys again. It definitely was a very fun experience the first time around, and I'm hoping to do so again. If you don't know the way this show works, it is dependent on you guys to keep it rolling, although that being said, I can absolutely do this on my own. So I can, if you guys want to fill up these lines, and I already see Jim there, I'll get to you in 1 second. These not the numbers to get in here, 773-763-9278. That's 773-763-9278. I do want to make the first topic about gerrymandering. However, whatever Jim has on his mind, we can do that first. Let's see what we got here. Maybe this will set us off on the right track here for the show today. Jim, how are things going, man?
Hi, Ben. You know, my first vote was from a governor in 1972. Now, I grabbed the Democratic bill, even if I was in traction. But what kills me today, today's politics, when you talk about right and left, now that's right out of the French Revolution. That's where that was invented. If you were right, you wanted Louis XVI to stand, to stay there and hang in there. And if you were left, you wanted his head to guillotine. So those were French terms. So anyway, we fast forward the first part of the 20th century. The Bolsheviks finally get Nicky and chop them into pieces, and then you got the Communist Party. So as a answer to the Communist Party, you have to get fascism, because the fascists figured, oh, we don't want to give it all up. We want to save a few bucks for ourselves. So whoever got a few bucks, we got to protect ourselves. So we'll get how it morphs into one person does it. It's just the way it's happened, with Spain, Italy, and Germany. All right. But now, when I took civics in school, this is the 60s, 50s, and 60s, there was no mention of left or right in American politics. There were two parties. I know that Teddy Roosevelt ran as a third party, the Bull Moose Party. He did fairly well, but it was suicide for him. That's how Wilson was elected twice. But today, when I turn on the radio, listening, I heard a couple of politicians in Illinois, of all places. Yeah, the left wing, those lefties, the lefties are going to do us in, the lefties. I'm thinking to myself, now, wait a minute. I've lived in Chicago all my life, right? I'm 75 years old. Lived all my life. I've never heard a politician say the lefties are coming for us or the righties are. I don't know what's going on here, but
oh yeah, I hear exactly what you're saying there, Jim, and I got to say, I think you're on to something here that is really starting to track in politics these days, because I have been following along pretty closely. I'm sure a lot of people on a progressive talk station, even though we're not in the state, have been following along with what's taken place in New York with Cuomo and Eric Adams and Zohran Mamdani, and I'm sure plenty of you guys have seen it, but if you haven't seen it already, polling is out on Republican voters in the state of New York, and Mamdani is getting 23%. The progressive, who we are always told is too over the top to be able to win an election, to be able to win in a general election, is getting 23% of the Republican vote while also dominating amongst the Democratic vote as well. So to Jim's point, I think we are evolving past this idea of left-right. I think that we are kind of abandoning at least our classic definitions. The original definitions are still out there, but I think there's a coalition of people frustrated with the way things are trending, and I say it all the time when Patty and I are talking during the segments that we do together. I have economic data that we're going to be jumping into today to show you exactly the trends that we are on and how quickly things are going south here. I talked about it on my show today. You have the Epstein right, mad with Trump because he won't release the files, and there's clearly something nefarious going on behind the scenes. You have the fiscal hawks right, mad that we blew a giant hole in the deficit in order to give billionaires a tax cut. You have the Medicare and Medicaid right, who realize that they actually rely on the government a lot more than they maybe realized about 9 or 10 months ago, and they're starting to get frustrated with the way that rollbacks are happening there as well. That party is shrinking more and more. I am not saying that they would show up and vote for a Cory Booker, but when somebody with new ideas, with a fresh take on what politics could be, shows up, left-right goes out the window, because there's people that see a path forward to the American dream, and then there's people that really don't, that feel stuck, and they don't think that the people in charge actually have their best interests at heart. I came across a Fortune.com article this morning that said the average age of a home buyer right now is 70 years old. That is not the sign of a thriving middle class. That's not the sign of a thriving American dream. That's a sign of exactly the opposite. I'm telling you right now, this concept of left-right is going to go away, and it's going away very quickly, and it's whoever can figure out how to capitalize on that angst and frustration. And to a certain extent, I'm not saying I'd vote for him, but it does seem like Gavin Newsom is trying to throw his hat into the ring. You guys, I was excited to do a show in Chicago today because you guys are kind of the epicenter right now of what's going on with this gerrymandering conversation. And let me just say, good job by all parties involved in Chicago for helping Texas out as long as they did. If you are not a listener of my show, I had been championing the idea of the Texas Democrats staying. This is the ideal if I controlled the Democratic Party. The Texas Democrats would be staying in Chicago until January 1st when redistricting was out of the way. California and New York would gerrymander the crap out of their states anyway, giving themselves a massive advantage in the House of Representatives. And then every single day, Democratic legislators would propose a piece of legislation that said, let's ban gerrymandering entirely and let's do independent. So they can either be 30 seats behind because we gerrymandered the hell out of them, or we can eliminate the process entirely. Because when you break down the metrics, Republicans have the advantage. Both sides are gerrymandering. I'm in Illinois. We all know you guys are gerrymandering, and I don't blame you for a second because you're not going to fight with one hand tied behind your back. But when you take all the Republican gerrymander counties and all the Democrat gerrymander counties, the difference is somewhere between it breaks even and plus 16 Republican. So if we made it so that you could not gerrymander anymore, it would reflect a much more fair and balanced House of Representatives, and you could sign me up for that. Gavin Newsom is stepping up now saying, we're going to do this no matter what. Again, I'm not pushing for gerrymandering, but if Republicans are pulling this crap in Texas, as it looks like they are poised to go back here pretty soon, well, then it's time to meet the exact same thing. And you can fight back with this because no matter how many times Republicans throw your own state in your face, look at the math. Look at how many seats are actually being taken away from the Democratic Party each and every year through inappropriately drawn districts. So I love what I'm seeing out of Gavin Newsom. I know there's a couple of Democrats who say, it's fighting dirty. You can't fight low with low. I'm telling you right now, you can't fight anything from the benches. So if we don't have the seats to be able to do anything, then we're not going to be able to get things done as a left-wing party, as a Democrat party. I don't understand why we see that pushback, but it's also fairly new. I'm not a Gavin guy. I promise you I'm not a Gavin guy. But he is making the rounds right now. If you haven't seen his Twitter account either, he goes around now tweeting like he's Donald Trump. Like it's like literal quotes from Donald Trump. I'll bring one up for the next segment. I didn't have one ready for that. But I have to say, kudos to Governor Pritzker for making it possible while they were in Chicago. That's obviously a part of it. Coming from Wisconsin myself, I was not in the state when that happened. I was still living in Pittsburgh, but I know a ton of Wisconsin Dems ran to Illinois during the, I believe, Act 10 voting. So you guys definitely come through down here, and I'm happy to be doing a show here about it. But I want to know what you guys think about this. Do you see the pros and cons? Do you like the idea that I'm pitching? It feels like old school hardball politics. If you want to cheat, we will cheat 5 times harder than you, but we'd much rather you just sign on to this legislation that says nobody can cheat anymore. That feels like the right way to do it. It's a good old-fashioned game of chicken. Never play poker with me because I'm giving you the exact signs of how I do it. If you guys thought this Friday show was going to be an easy coast into your weekend, you are so badly mistaken because we are just warming up. Mark said one of the reasons I had mixed feeling on you was you're a Bernie bro, but I'm coming around. People just want change. Ain't nothing wrong with being a Bernie bro, my man, but I love it very much, Mark. 773-763-9278. 773-763-9278. I'm just getting warmed up, ladies and gentlemen, so we've got plenty more to jump into. Like I said, though, I absolutely love when you guys take part in the show as well. And if you like what you're hearing, check out WHBY. We've got an app. The show's called Outside the Box with Ben Cominos. You can catch me 5 days a week, 8:30 to 11, and I always upload the shows there. Before we go to break, Saturday on The Big Picture, Edwin Eisendrath will be joined by Lisa Graves, founder and executive director of True North Research, a national investigative watchdog group that works with journalists and other researchers to shine a bright light on the dark money fueling regressive agendas. Michelle Regalado-Dietrich, chair and founder of the DNC Council on the Environmental and Climate Crisis. Chris Geidner, author of the Law Dork Substack newsletter. And Kendall Scudder, chair of the Texas Democrat Party. The Big Picture with Edwin Eisendrath, Saturdays from 1 to 4 p.m. Central on WCPT, Chicago's progressive talk for 20 years. Can you tell I practiced that before I read it? It felt solid for me. I hope that was as solid for you guys as well. We're going to keep it rolling, guys, but we got to pay a couple bills here, so we will be back very quickly. You're listening to AM 820 WCPT.
Stephanie Miller.
I've gotten more mail than I've ever gotten in my entire life. Because a lot of people have a lot to share, and they can't always make it on the phone lines, or they're nervous. And trust me, whatever you're going through, me too. All of us. Wherever you are in your timeline. Drunk, sad, scared, angry. Right there with you. Thank you for people saying they're not listening to anybody but me. I think that's a good plan. Because I'm just like, blah, 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 blah.
Stephanie Miller, weekday mornings, 8 to 11 on WCPT 820.
This is Tony Moret. I'm an estate planning lawyer who drafts living trusts and wills. Since the election, I've been hearing from my clients, many of them fellow WCPT listeners. And we all wonder, how did this happen and what can we do? The how is, of course, very complicated. My thoughts as regard to what we can do is simple but important. We need to take extra care of those we love. Having an estate plan using either a living trust or will can provide comfort in uncertain times like these. When the progressive values we hold dear are under attack, I feel we must make sure that our personal lives are secure and then work out from there. I've been drafting estate plans for my clients for over 30 years, and I will use all of that experience to help you. Please call me at 847-996-0496. My website is moreylawoffice.com. That's More spelled M-O-R-E-E. Again, the phone is 847-996-0496. There is no cost or obligation for our initial discussion. I look forward to speaking with you.
Hey Google, play WCPT.
Streaming Chicago's progressive talk from TuneIn.
If you're listening to this station right now, you've definitely heard my voice before. Hi, I'm Hawk.
And I'm Pete. And we're with Source Solar, your local source for solar. Source Solar is Chicagoland's premier solar installer, providing solutions for over 1,000 homeowners and business owners across Illinois and Iowa.
With over a decade of industry experience and deep roots here in Chicago, we have the expertise to help your transition to clean, renewable, resilient energy.
We can guarantee that we save you money day one without any out-of-pocket cost to you. This means you have an instant ROI, instant payback, and can save money to add to your bottom line day one.
At Source Solar, we source everything as local as possible, meaning we always carry the Made in USA sticker.
Find us online at www.source.solar. Stop in our office at 5710 North Northwest Highway or give us a call at 773-985-3992.
And don't forget to ask for Hawk
or Pete.
You're listening to Driving It Home with Patti Vasquez.
Psych, you're not. You're listening to Drive It Home with Ben Cominos, filling in for Patti Vasquez. We actually got a text here from a listener. I think it says, Bank, you are no Patti Vasquez, but I'm liking what I hear today. I appreciate that. That's the nicest thing that I could ever hear. Unfortunately, Patty's locked in my basement, so you might be dealing with this for the foreseeable future. I got Lady B on that one. And thank you so much to you, Lady B, for helping out today. It always makes it so much easier knowing that you're on the drums back there. We got a couple of messages here. If you're just joining us, Ben Cominos, I'm here from WHBY, filling in for Patty. Talking about gerrymandering and the fact that I see an opportunity here to end this practice entirely. I've lived in Wisconsin. It'll be the 3-year anniversary of my show on September 6th, and we just recently got over the statewide gerrymander, right? I'm sure plenty of you guys are familiar with that. We had been cheated out of a number of Democratic seats despite essentially being a 50-50 state. The way that it had been drawn, the Supreme Court finally leaning liberal and looking to be leaning liberal for the foreseeable future, righted that wrong, and now we don't deal with it anymore. And you know what's interesting? Our budget session wrapped up, and while it was by no means perfect and public school teachers still absolutely got screwed by it, there were a lot of good Democratic ideas in that budget this time around. And I'll tell you right now, this was my second budget process, and the first one, plus the one that I was there for that had already been enacted when I first moved out there, had no interest in what the Democrats were thinking. So the second it became ungerrymandered, all of a sudden funding for child care programs became a priority, and making sure that our water was drinkable was a priority. Lord knows neither party is perfect. So by eliminating gerrymandering, I think we see an opportunity here to do something really well. We got one text here. It says, just very simply, we have to fight fire with fire, gerrymander where possible. I say that with an end game. If Republicans are insisting on playing this way, yes, you are absolutely right. But I'm saying nip it in the bud. Don't even wait for them to do it. Just go do it. Like, stop being reactionary to what Republicans do. I think that's what I'm pushing Democrats to try and do. And it really feels like there might be a wake-up call right now that might be the way that people are operating. I don't know that for a fact. And again, there's the resistance component of this, but then there's also the ideology component of this. Just being vociferously against the garbage that we have been dealing with, whether it be through ICE or tariffs or whatever's happening, is one thing, but there's got to be an agenda. There's got to be something promising on the other side of that coin if people are going to come to it. So this gerrymandering element is a good start here, specifically for Gavin Newsom. But I also think I'd be remiss if I didn't say his handling of the homeless population in his state is not particularly awe-inspiring. So you got to find the policy to mix with the actions there. Mark doubling down. He said, I'm 60. I'm 37, so that's that to give you guys a little bit of an idea here. I say, because I can see what you're saying here. You said you just never got Bernie. The status quo had paid off for him, but I'm a lousy political observer, I guess. Not even lousy. I think it's just the circles that people run in. Like, I was raised in a right-wing area of town when I was a kid. Like, I have a lot of right-wing perspective baked into me. I eventually moved to the city where I was a minority population amongst my friends and saw how a whole new segment of life lived that I had no idea about. I have been in a perpetual state. Now I'm living in the Midwest. I'm a city guy living in the Midwest. Like, it's every single couple of years, I put myself in a position to see how other people live. I have a friend whose dad is a farmer who's gerrymandered into a yuppie community who watches the farm subsidies that should be benefiting this one guy's couple acre farm where he's struggling get funneled into billion-dollar agriculture operations. But nobody's willing to speak up and talk for these people. Coming up with these kind of ideas is where it comes from. And Mark, I'm assuming, has probably heard me talk about this before, but if, how do I say this? If you are under the age of 40, you do not know the same economics that for people over the age of 40 have experienced. I've been lucky enough to have gotten out of student debt. I own a duplex back in Pittsburgh, but I rent in Wisconsin. Like, I, in a lot of ways, beat the system. The system is designed for me to tell you guys how awesome I am and how if you just work hard, you can get to that point. I'm here to tell you right now, the system is not your friend right now, and it is preventing literally millions, if not tens of millions of people from doing something about it. And it's only going to get worse. I'm saving it for the 5:30 half hour because it's going to take me a long time to lay it out there, and I'm not going to do it here. But the economic data and the way CEOs are talking, they're licking their chops right now, guys, at the opportunity to be able to use these tariffs and an opportunity to gouge you. And we can't let them get away with it again, but we'll be jumping into that in a second. But it doesn't have to do with you being a lousy political observer. All it is the people you run with. And you're exactly right, Mark. As a 60-year-old, the status quo did work for you. It worked for a lot of people. Not to say you didn't work hard, not to say you didn't earn what you got, but it's just a matter of people are working hard right now, and they don't see a path out. I was working. I got my start in radio. I may have told this story last time I was here. I can't remember. I got my start in radio. I didn't even start till I was 30. I had another career before that. I was in a top 30 market producing. I was the PM Drive producer. It's the best you can do in producing. I was getting $8.50 an hour to work a job that at that particular radio station required a college degree, required that you be educated, and put in a couple years before you even got to that position. That is not a sustainable salary for anybody to live on. The only reason I was able to do it is because I worked as a successful sales representative for 7 years and had built myself a cushion. Everyone else I worked with was living at home still well into their 30s. And that's not a knock on them. It's that is not a sustainable salary. There were plenty of people who worked that job that was their career. It's almost like that was one of 3 options for them now, and that's just one industry. I'm willing to bet you dozens of you listening right now working across different sectors, whether it be construction work or accounting or HR, whatever the situation may be, have probably noticed reduction in pay, maybe a reduction in positions as well, doing more work for the same pay, and things not trending in the correct direction. We tell teachers they're getting paid too much. We tell young people they can't afford homes. The first politician that comes through with actual ideas on this is the one that's going to take it away. And unfortunately, Donald Trump showed up in 2024 with tariffs. Were tariffs going to work? No. 95% of economists said tariffs weren't going to work. But you know what tariffs represented? Something that wasn't being done. And it was like, you know what? Maybe it will get worse, but it can't possibly be worse than what is. Well, spoiler warning, it might end up getting a little worse than what was. But nevertheless, it was a new idea. It wasn't the same thing. That's what people are looking for. It doesn't have to be Bernie. Doesn't have to be AOC. It could be somebody not in politics. You want my true, honest-to-God thoughts on it? I don't think the future of the Democratic Party might be in the Democratic Party right now. We've got time to figure that out. But I would like to see as things develop here over the years. 773-763-9278. 773-763-9278. It's a strange phenomenon that we're dealing with here right now because it feels so ripe for the picking, right? You see Donald Trump floundering regularly amongst his base, let alone anybody listening to me right now. I don't know. Do Republicans listen to this show? Do I have? Yeah, we got a few. Okay. What do you guys think? Call me right now because I talk to MAGA Republicans all the time on my show and not antagonistically. If you want to get antagonistic, we can. But I'm saying it's very cordial and friendly. And I want to know what your perspective is on the way that I'm laying this out here right now for you. Are you happy with the way things trending? Because the only things I'm seeing change. Housing is still expensive. Education is still expensive. Child care is still expensive. Elder care is still expensive. I will still go to jail for smoking smoking weed in Wisconsin. I could keep going if I thought about it. We still have all the wars going on, even as Donald Trump goes to meet Putin right now. We're still increasing defense spending. We're not funneling money back into the systems that need it. The only things that are changing is that immigrants are scared to wake up in the morning, and transgender people don't feel as comfortable in their own skin right now. And now we're attacking Obergefell versus Hodges over the idea about whether or not we can still keep doing same-sex marriages. So is it seriously that you guys are now the identity politics people, except for instead of the identity being minority-focused, it's that straight white male identity? Because honest to God, tell me where I'm missing on this. Tell me what has been done in the name of conservatism. Do you like that we just blew a giant hole in the debt? Do you like that you actually didn't receive a single element of those tax cuts that came through? All he did was maintain the tax cut that you had already received 8 years ago. Tell me why I see the posts that say, this is what I voted for. Because the only thing I'm seeing is identity politics, people being more scared, and no empirical improvement for the American population. I would love for somebody to defy me and show me evidence that I am wrong when I paint that picture that way, because that's the way that I'm looking at it. And I'm telling you right now, you're not going to find too many more level-headed people in the world of political talk radio. I will give the Republican half the benefit of the doubt, but you guys got to meet me halfway. You got to give me a single example of something over the course of the last 8 months that gives you excitement, gets you ready for whatever the hell the next 3 years and 4 months of the Donald Trump administration is going to be. Because I'm going to tell you guys right now, as someone who was very critical of the Biden economic system, this ain't it. It's the same thing, only with less than what we already had. It's worse than the status quo that we already determined was not enough for people. And we're going to jump much more into the economics of matters. I've got some interesting evidence that I doubt you have heard on other shows, but we got to get to the news. We'll be back. This is 820 WCPT.
You're listening to WCPT 820. Here's the latest Chicago weather update.
I'm meteorologist Ray Miller from the Weatherology Weather Center. Partly cloudy tonight with a chance of scattered showers and storms. High of 75 degrees with southeast winds at 5 to 10. Saturday, chance of thunderstorms with a high temperature of 89 with southeast winds at 5 to 10 miles an hour. Sunday, chance of thunderstorms with a high of 84 degrees. Monday, chance of storms with a high of 90. Tuesday, chance of storms with a high temperature of 83 degrees. That's the latest Chicago weather update. Right now, it's 91.
This is Chicago's Progressive Talk, 820 AM, WCPT Willow Springs, and online at WCPT820.com, where facts matter.
You probably know at least one person who's furious that the Supreme Court may look again at the issue of gay marriage. Meet a man who's married his husband 3 different times. Also, renowned Chicago playwright Ike Holter will once again make a newspaper come to life and catch the latest indignity with law professor David Levine. You're going to want to listen Sunday morning, 8 a.m. with me, Turi Ryder, on WCPT Radio, on the air or on the Heartland Signal website.
With MedGuard Alert, you're never alone. You can connect with medical professionals anywhere, anytime. And now MedGuard is introducing our exclusive new Care Watch. If you need help quickly, use it from anywhere to contact medical professionals. No cell phone required. The Care Watch is not only a life-saving medical alert device, it's a revolutionary health monitoring system that checks your blood pressure, heart rate, oxygen saturation, and much more. And here's the best part. If you have Medicaid, you may qualify to get your Care Watch for free. The Care Watch is only available through MedGuard Alert. Call us right now. We have monitoring programs starting as low as $1 a day. The call is free, activation is free, shipping is free, and no contract is required. Remember, with Medicaid, you may qualify to get your Care Watch for free. Call us to get your Care Watch right now.
800-741-5819. 800-741-5819. 800-741-5819. That's 800-741-5819.
WCPT 820, Chicago's Progressive Talk, where facts matter.
Union Strong Chicago continues to lead the way with progressive values and in preserving democracy. Your support of the Minocqua Brewing Company Super PAC efforts in Wisconsin and beyond strengthens the fight against MAGA Republicans. You can now purchase progressive beers like Labor Lager, Love Wins Fruited Sour, and the Resistance IPA in Chicago at Rogers Park Provisions, Diversity Beer, Wine, and Spirits in Lakeview, Park West Liquor, Wine, and Beer in Lincoln Park, Logan Square Liquors, and Tip Top Food and Liquors in Westtown. Visit MinocquaBrewingCompany.com for all their Chicagoland locations. As always, no matter how bad our sports teams are, please drink responsibly.
Patti Vasquez is taking your calls now.
We need to speak out about this.
At 773-763-9278.
Hello.
It's Driving It Home with Patti Vasquez.
Very fancy intro there for Patti Vasquez. Welcome to Driving Home with Patti Vasquez. I am obviously not her. I am Ben Cominos from WHBY Radio up in Appleton, Wisconsin. Outside the box with Ben Cominos, filling in for Patti on this fine Friday evening. You know, I actually tomorrow, I know my Buccos are in town. I'm going with Jerry and I think a couple of other people, possibly Patti as well. I'm going to be making my inaugural visit down to Wrigley Field, which I don't know. I don't know how nice of a stadium it is because the Buccos suck. Like, all right, I understand. The Pirates suck. Before anybody bothers texting me, I get it. I don't even need to see it. I already know. But we have a very nice baseball park. So I'll be interested to see what you guys have in store here because obviously you have the history, very old stadium, and there's something awesome about that, much like there is with Lambeau Field in my new neck of the woods here as well. But yeah, very excited to be down here in Chicago for the weekend. Nice to be back in the city. I'm going to be honest. It's nice to be in the city. I got stuck in rush hour, and I was like, oh, yeah, the good old days. Like, that was a nice feeling. If you guys have not taken part yet, 773-763-9278, 773-763-9278. I want to jump into a conversation here. If you're just joining us, I said there's a lot of reasons for people that voted for Donald Trump to be upset with Donald Trump. And one of those factors is the economy. But what I'm going to do is present it to you guys in a little bit of a different light here, because while it obviously is bad, what I want to show you guys, this is what I do on my show regularly. I'm going to show you guys how what's happening right now, what's about to happen right now, actually happened right after COVID as well. And we are going to allow ourselves to divide ourselves into partisan corners and not actually address the underlying issue. And so I'm going to give you guys some stats. I have a little bit of audio for you to play for you guys as well, and I'm going to kind of paint a picture for you here. So the Groundwork Collaborative is a left-leaning think tank. They are a group of economists who regularly put together economic data to help show people the trends that are out there. These guys were at the forefront of the corporate greed conversation after COVID, when everybody else was telling you, no, this is inflation. This is just what happens when you have these supply chain issues. There's a war in Ukraine. These guys were the guys highlighting earnings call after earnings call after earnings call, showing CEOs, CFOs, CIOs bragging about how much they were raising their prices over the cost of the already very apparent inflation. And lo and behold, 3 years later, that same group of people has put together another group of information here highlighting the exact same phenomenon happening with tariffs being the example. Case in point, Melanie Hart. She's a senior vice president and CFO for Pool Corp. It's a it's a pool equipment manufacturer. This is a direct quote from her most recent earnings call 2 weeks ago. Our largest equipment vendors announced and implemented an in-season price increase that ranged from 3 to 4%, which took effect in April to address the March tariff announcements, and we increased our selling prices accordingly. We observed similar patterns during the pandemic years, and those increases passed through the channels with no reversals, meaning they rose the prices higher than they needed to during COVID, realized that people were still going to keep paying, and then never brought the prices back down to the pre-COVID levels, and now they're raising them again because of tariffs. There's other companies using tariffs as cover to raise prices entirely. Charlie. Aaron P. Jagfield, perfect name for that guy, Chief Executive Officer of Generac Power Systems. You guys know Generac. Even, direct quote, even if we have metals that weren't impacted directly by tariffs, the indirect effect of tariffs is that it gives steel producers and the mills and other fabricators great cover for increased pricing in some cases. Guys, I have a list of 9 different CEOs and CFO calls that I could read for you guys, all saying the exact same thing. I'm not trying to convince you that Donald Trump's economy is working or that tariffs aren't going to raise the prices, but I'm saying we're going to get gouged beyond that. And here's how this is going to play out. And I defy somebody to tell me I'm wrong. When Joe Biden was in office, Republicans were more than happy to pretend that corporate greed was a figment of our imagination and the prices were rising because we had the audacity to fund social programs or to extend Medicare and Medicaid coverage during the COVID years and not do anything to combat corporate greed. And so as a result, the corporations were able to get away with it. Flash forward to today, and I have a feeling several people on the left side of the spectrum are going to be more than happy to blame Trump's dumbass economic policy for why all these price increases are happening, and you'd be absolutely right to do so. But there's also an element of corporate greed happening again, and not being willing to pay attention to that will ultimately leave us. Notice this. The situation is exactly the same. The impetus has changed. The parties have changed, but the outcome is exactly the same. We get screwed over on prices no matter what's happening as we allow partisanship to keep us fighting about whose economic policies are setting us up for a worse situation here. And we're watching it happen again. What's interesting this time around, though, compared to the Biden administration, is that it's not just people like me highlighting this. It's not just the talking heads on radio or on podcasters. It's making it into the mainstream. I have a clip here from CNBC that aired yesterday talking about the Producer Price Index. The Producer Price Index is what it costs wholesale. In other words, when you manufacture steel, what those people are charging the companies that use the steel to make things like cars and other products. Listen to what's going on here, and then I'll break down in layman's terms what they're saying on the other side.
There's an anomaly in the data here from what I thought was going to happen. I thought what was going to happen was this area called trade services, it's a measure of profit margins, would squeeze and actually exert downward pressure on wholesale prices. I think that was an expectation across the street. But these are big numbers. Trade of private capital up 4.5%. Trade of personal consumption goods, what the margins that they're making, all of them up big. And I don't quite understand why the government is saying that profit margins increased when we're not seeing essentially a lot of inflation in the consumer prices, but we're seeing prices higher on the wholesale prices. That should compress margins, and we've had a whole bunch of companies come on and say we're taking big hits because of these tariffs. So this number should be going the other way. I'm not sure what's happening here, but Rick has also reported, and it's worth saying, even if you take these trade services out, the PPI was hot anyway, but this should have exerted some downward pressure, and it didn't.
Kitty Richards, former Treasury Department official in the Biden administration. What do you do about it if you're the Fed?
I think that the Fed is going to have a difficult time meeting those investor expectations of a rate cut. I actually want to focus on what we were just talking about, this difference between the CPI, which is only starting to warm up, and the Producer Price Index, which just came in very hot. And part of what's going on there is that there is a bit of a timing mismatch between when consumer prices rise and when producer prices rise. So I think that the Fed is going to look at this and that CPE release that's going to come later in the month and say, ooh, we're not really sure what's going on, but it looks like there are going to be price hikes coming down the pike. I'm actually not surprised that we didn't see compression of corporate profits. That's something that's characterized the inflationary period since the beginning of the pandemic, that corporations are actually able to protect their profit margins and actually even increase their profit margins at times using inflation and uncertainty as cover for price hikes, even if their costs aren't going up. And so one of the things we're going to be looking for in the CPI as consumer prices are starting to rise is, are corporations actually taking hits, or are they able to use this moment of supply constraint created by tariffs and uncertainty created by the Trump administration to pass on higher prices even above their increased costs?
So you heard it there essentially at the very end, her laying out that she's expecting the exact same thing to happen that I just mentioned there. But if you don't understand, there were a lot of numbers. I know not everybody's numbers people here. So let's break this down in basic layman's terms then. The price of steel went up. So if you're a car manufacturer, I'm not saying that this is what car manufacturers did. I'm just using this as a hypothetical. If you're a car manufacturer, you buy that steel. The cost of that steel is now more expensive. However, the prices didn't go up in cars, and they're not reporting any losses in their profits. And people are asking, how exactly is this happening right now? I believe that these talking heads here on CNBC, and you'll have to forgive me for not knowing their names, Kitty Richards is the economist with the Biden administration. She actually works with the Groundwork Collaborative as well. She, I believe, was being sincere. The rest of them acting, feigning, how did we ever end up in this situation? They've been playing dumb for the last 3 years because people who have been paying attention to the economy knows what's been happening. Not to say inflation wasn't real. I would scream at the top of my lungs back in 2022. Joe Biden had handled inflation better than any other Western nation on the planet. It still wasn't good, but he had handled it better than any other Western nation. Nowhere in England was handling inflation the same way, but our prices were still through the roof, and profits were hitting records. That's where the frustration stems from. We're watching us get fleeced, and we do not have the competition on an industry-by-industry basis for them to keep one another honest. And so you're watching that same thing play out now. These tariffs providing cover. And if you're just joining us, I can do the quotes all day. We've got another one here from a Ralph Lauren Corporation's CFO, Mr. Pacici, indicated that tariffs created an exploitable expectation of higher prices. Direct quote. We're taking selective pricing actions and strategic discount reductions with a goal of continuing to deliver the best value proposition. It's really a consumer sentiment and the expectation that customers have to deal with significant price increases or pricing across the board as a result of cost inflation. They know that you're expecting prices to go up, and they know that you're not going to look into how high they should be going up. And especially if you don't like Trump, they know you will just instinctively do that. I'm not telling you not to blame Trump, but I am telling you that we have to stay on our toes and have to stay vigil with these different mega corporations because they are fleecing us and they're going to use this against you if you let them. We got a texter here saying, "Hi, Ben. Thank you for explaining the whole economy thing in plain terms. I knew it. You knew it. Now we can only hope John Q. Public can finally grasp what we're getting gamed. P.S. Take it easy on my poor fading Cubbies tomorrow and enjoy the game." I don't think you have anything to worry about, man. The Buccos are like playing like some kind of furry woodland creature. Like, you don't need to worry about playing the Buccos, I promise you. But yeah, no, you're exactly right. And I remember being gaslit when I first had a radio show. People telling me, you don't know what you're talking about. You don't understand the economy. There's so many other factors leading to the economy. The basic principles. That's what I always boil my show down to, is the basic principles. If inflation is what's holding us back, if tariffs are what's holding us back, profit margins, total profits shouldn't be going up. You shouldn't be seeing record profits if inflation and all these different metrics are eating into the profits. The only reason you see record profits is when you're getting fleeced. And we're watching it happen here again. And of all places, CNBC is finally willing to point it out now after 3 years of playing coy. This goes to show you that they're getting pretty egregious with their actions. And I have a feeling they're just getting started. I have more to say about this, but I know we do have to get into a break. Before we do that, Monday on Choose Views, Richard Choose guests are Chicago Teachers Union President Stacey Davis Gates, Democratic strategist Mike Nellis, and Sarah Jones of Politicus USA and The Daily. Also next week, Richard will talk to Texas State Rep Chris Turner and musician Patrice Rushin. Choose Views weekdays 6 to 8 a.m. Central on WCPT 820 a.m. and the Heartland Signal website. Tune in, YouTube, and Facebook. Sounds like an awesome program there. 773-763-9278, 773-763-9278. Let's get these phones ringing here, guys. I'd love to talk with some of you. We got to get to break, though, first here. We'll be right back. This is AM 820 WCPT.
Still struggling with gas, bloat, constipation, nausea, or diarrhea? Have you tried eliminating foods but felt no change? It's time to call the tummy whisperer, Renee Barish at Digestive Health Solutions. Renee uses targeted testing to reveal exactly what's happening in your gut. Gut bacteria plays a key role in all your body functions, from cardiovascular regulation to brain function. When the gut is imbalanced, you may experience symptoms that extend beyond the gut, such as anxiety, skin issues, poor sleep, or increased risk for disease. Digestive Health Solution uses advanced testing to identify harmful microbes and evaluate the overall balance of the gut ecosystem. Get insights into your health, digestion, and how your microbiome affects all aspects of your body. Stop suffering. Call Renee now at 847-207-2034 or visit thetummywhisperer.com. That number is 847-207-2034. Let's get you feeling better. The Tummy Whisperer.
This is WCPT 820, where facts matter.
If you're listening to this station right now, you've definitely heard my voice before. Hi, I'm Hawk.
And I'm Pete. And we're with Source Solar, your local source for solar. Source Solar is Chicagoland's premier solar installer, providing solutions for over 1,000 homeowners and business owners across Illinois and Iowa.
With over a decade of industry experience and deep roots here in Chicago, we have the expertise to help your transition to clean, renewable, resilient energy.
We can guarantee that we save you money day one without any out-of-pocket cost to you. This means you have an instant ROI, instant payback, and can save money to add to your bottom line day one.
At Source Solar, we source everything as local as possible, meaning we always carry the Made in USA sticker.
Find us online at www.source.solar. Stop in our office at 5710 North Northwest Highway or give us a call at 773-985-3992.
And don't forget to ask for Hawk
or Pete.
Welcome back to Driving It Home with Patti Vasquez.
Nope. Ben Cominos filling in for Patti Vasquez, driving it home with Patti Vasquez. Awesome to do so. She actually just walked into the studio a moment ago with Jerry, so it's all a facade at this point. She was never in my basement. I've been outed, and she called me out on that when she walked in. But nevertheless, she told me, you know what's funny is she tells me I might not be able to make it to the Cubs game. It's my birthday weekend. And, you know, my birthday's in September. It's September 21st, so it's almost a month away. And so when you work in radio, you meet a bunch of people, and it's not intentional, but sometimes you forget the people you meet. And about a month and a half ago, a woman is in the studio with my coworker who's on after me, Haley Tenpass. She walks past me, and she's super excited to see me, and she says, "Ben, it's so good to see you again." And so, you know, survival instincts kick in, and I'm like, "Yeah, you too." That's you know, it's just the normal thing to do. She looks at me, no context clues whatsoever, and just goes, "So can we count on you again this year?" Now, what do you guys do in that moment, right? Like, what's your reaction going to be in that exact moment? So I, being the good sport that I am, went, "Yep." And like, that was the end of the conversation right there. She's like, "It's so good to hear. I'll have to let this other person know." I didn't know who that was either. I won't know him when I see him either. And so they do their segment together. It's like a half an hour long segment. She walks out of the studio, and I walk in to talk to my coworker, who's a year or two younger than me, but she does she's a family woman. She's got 3 kids, you know, husband, the whole deal. I am a bachelor, so we live very different lives. And she looks at me and goes, "I miss the days when I could just commit to something without having to check my schedule or wondering what was going on." And I said, "Haley, I'm going to be honest with you. I have no idea what I committed to." And she's like, "What?" And I was like, "I don't know who that woman was, and I had no idea what she was asking me, but I felt bad because she was so excited to see me, so I just said yes." And she's like, "You're joking." And it turns out that I committed to emceeing and announcing the Fox Cities Marathon, which I did last year, and I completely forgot that, like, what anybody looked like there. And so now I'm going to be on my birthday announcing the freaking Fox Cities Marathon, and I'm going to be announcing people's names as they come across the finish line, and I had no idea what I was committing to when they asked me to do it. So in case you were wondering what a day in the life of Ben Cominos is like, that's what it's like. Like, I come in, I really don't do a lot of these personal stories. Like, I just come in and I hit the ground running and I talk to you guys about political stuff that makes me mad. But Yeah, that's what's happening behind the scenes with me when I do that. So Patty might not be able to make it because it's her birthday weekend, and I totally respect that because I get that. I get that very much. So I hope that she can tag along, though, as well. But and also, if you want to run a half marathon on September 20 or a marathon on September 21st, you can come meet me because I'll be announcing it there. So have fun. You guys have no idea because it starts off easy, right? Because the fast people are obviously fast. You know what I mean? There's not many of the people coming through, but then there's most of us. You know, where most of us would be coming across in a marathon. And it's this person, this person, this person, this person. And you have no downtime. You're not allowed to miss a name. You have to say every single person's name. You don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. They just ran 26 miles. And so you're playing this game now where you're trying to keep up with what's happening. And, God, I'm so mad at myself. I could have just been a jerk. I could just be that guy. So many people do that. We're in Chicago. I don't need to tell you guys. It's very different up in the Fox Cities, all right? It's very different than where I grew up. Anyway, I'm going to a Cubs game tomorrow is my point. I got a text message here. It says, "You rock, Ben. I'm a Bernie bro, too, coming from Faith. Also, I'm right there with you with the price gouging. Definitely been paying attention for years." Oh, yeah. The first show I ever did in radio, I'm still pretty new to this. You'd be forgiven for not noticing because I'm very good at the job, but I'm very new to radio. But the first show I did, there was a bill proposed. Actually, I think it was by Sanders in 2022. It was called the End Corporate Greed Now Act, and he had listed 30 different companies across eight or nine different industries, and he was showing what their profits were between 2014 to 2019 and then what their profits were in 2021 and how high they were compared to what they had been, highlighting the greed. And he was proposing at that time, and again, this is February of 22, he was proposing at that time a tax on the excess profits, meaning if you had made $1.5 billion on average prior to the pandemic, and then all of a sudden after the pandemic, you're making $3.5 billion. The bill proposed a 95% tax on that $2 billion over your average profits. So you still made the money that you were always making as a company, but the parts where you were clearly gouging the American public were going to get taxed at 95%, and he proposed creating a stipend plan that would funnel it back into the pockets of the American people. Never even made it to the floor with a vote when the Democrats had the House, the Senate, and the presidency. That was the first show that I ever did, was covering that bill because I was so excited at the prospect of cracking down on it. It was obvious then, and it's obvious now. And while more people are aware of it, there's not enough people talking about it, and definitely not in the political sphere. I have a feeling there's a lot of Democrats that listen to this show, both voters and people within the representative groups. I'm here to tell you right now, free advice. You normally have to pay people so much money for these kind of ideas, and I'm just throwing it out there for you guys. Crack down on these very real issues, and people will notice. They know they're getting fleeced. I said it to start the show. Zohran Mamdani is polling at 23% with Republicans. I did an hour-long segment in Northeast Wisconsin, which, yes, I am in the city proper of Appleton, which does have a pretty heavy Democrat lean. The second you leave the city, you're dealing with a much more conservative element. I floated the idea for an hour, if a candidate were running in our district over the idea of freezing rents or doing some kind of over-the-top agenda to address rents. I've lived there for 3 years. My rent has gone up $140 in 3 years. People are actually, I had people telling me they lived in trailer parks, saw their the rent where you park your trailer go from $450 to $1,050 in 2 years. That's a $600 increase for people that, no knock against people living on in trailers, but you're doing that in order to save money, and you just watched another $600, another $7,200 a year out of your bank account. Are you on a fixed income? How much money are you making every year? How many of you can absorb an extra $7,200 for the exact same services that you received? I did an hour-long segment about freeze the rent in Northeast Wisconsin, and I got nothing but stories like that, people saying that they would support it. And I even had a guy in my studio today who is identifies as a libertarian who said, why are all these Republicans supporting Mamdani? And I said, because the rent's too damn high. And he says, The rent is too damn high. Like, he immediately unprogrammed himself from everybody in his social circles, everybody he sees on social media, everybody he works with, and all of a sudden it was like, you know what? The government should do something about this. And that's somebody who identifies as a libertarian. What do you think an independent thinks, or a moderate, or even like a fiscal conservative? Not everybody's going to get behind it. And for the record, I'm not even saying it's going to work, but it's at least an idea that is out there that people are getting behind. And I can tell Faith is definitely getting on board with this. That's 5 exclamation points after a yes. So I know you're on board with that there. But what do you guys think? I mean, we're in Chicago. Don't tell me that I'm the only one that has these kind of stories. Like, I'm still getting my rent for under $1,200. How many of you listening to me have that situation going right now? 773-763-9278. I'm interested what you guys are seeing out there, because it's bad everywhere. The economy's bad everywhere. These issues are out there, and they're easily exploitable. And I'd be interested to see what you guys think about that. So I'd love to get some more input here from what you guys are thinking. We are getting close to it here, so I do want to make sure that I squeeze all these in. You guys have so many more reads than I do. I'll tell you what, you guys got a lot of good things going on down here. The 2026 midterm election is 15 months away, but WCPT has already begun interviewing candidates and posting the audio on the website. Visit heartlandsignal.com/candidates to hear and share the latest interviews, including Richard Chu's interview this morning with Michigan candidate for Governor Garland Gilchrist, and the conversations Patty had last night with Iowa candidates for U.S. Senate and Governor. Find the candidate interviews tab at the top of the website, heartlandsignal.com. And again, that is /candidates if you are looking specifically for the candidates page there as well. If you guys don't want to continue the conversation here on the economic standpoint, that is absolutely fine. I do want to jump into what the people of the southern part of the state of Wisconsin are dealing with right now. If you guys didn't see, a couple days ago we had massive once-in-a-generation rainstorms. But don't worry, Republican talking heads are telling us that the climate change is a hoax. Don't worry about it. That has nothing to do with it. That's actually not what I want to talk about with you guys. The insurance companies, the same insurance companies that are funding oil and gas projects and exacerbating climate change and bringing us these once-in-a-generation environmental situations here, are refusing to pay out tens of thousands of people living in Milwaukee who have seen tens of thousands of dollars in damage to their homes, just completely circumventing what insurance is all about. That'll be on the other side of the news, of course. You're listening to AM 820 WCPT.
WCPT replay.
Right now, we're going to catch up on all things Wisconsin with our friend Ben Cominos.
The big, beautiful bill is exactly what I expect Republicans to do. They're doing exactly what I expect every single time. The Democratic Party, I actually expect to have the working classes back. And I would hope that they start to run on messaging not only to get back to the status quo that was 2024, but to actually address the fact that, as I often state, if you are under the age of 40, I realize I'm a property owner, but by and large, the idea of owning a home, if you don't own one already, is becoming a pipe dream very quickly. The idea of starting a family is becoming a pipe dream very quickly. And so that's got to be the messaging. And Donald Trump, for all his bluster, hasn't done a damn thing to do something about it.
Keep listening to WCPT 820, because facts matter.
If you want thick, healthy, and gorgeous hair, then you need Hair Volume from New Nordic. Available online at Amazon and newnordicusa.com, or in the hair care aisle at your local CVS.
AP News, I'm Haya Pinjwani. New Orleans Mayor LaToya Cantrell was indicted in what prosecutors call a years-long scheme to hide a romantic relationship with her bodyguard. He's accused of being paid as if he was working even when they met alone. Acting U.S. Attorney Michael Simpson said they used encrypted messaging.
They also used WhatsApp to intimidate subordinates, to harass a citizen, to lie to colleagues and associates, to delete evidence, to make false statements to FBI agents.
President Trump and Vladimir Putin have greeted each other like old friends before starting talks on the Ukraine war. AP correspondent Sagar Meghani.
They warmly shook hands. And as they walked a red carpet at an Alaska military base, B-2 and F-22 aircraft flew overhead, jets designed to oppose Russia during the Cold War.
President Putin, will you stop killing
leaders ignored questions before climbing into America's presidential limo. Putin had a grin on his face as they rolled to their meeting space.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Where they again did not take questions before starting hours of talks with top aides that could reshape the war and relations between their own countries. Sagar Magani, Washington.
Tropical weather is threatening islands in the Caribbean.
Tropical storm Erin has strengthened into a hurricane as it tracks towards the Leeward Islands.
It's now upgraded to a hurricane, the first of the 2025 season.
National Hurricane Center Director Jamie Rome.
Puerto Rico, Virgin Islands, Northern Leeward Islands, you got to be mindful of the flood risk.
Rome says Erin is forecast to take a sharp turn northeast. High waves and dangerous surf are expected to affect the East Coast and especially the Carolinas next week. I'm Jennifer King.
This is AP News. AP correspondent Ed Donahue reports on the long journey of a library book.
A library book showed up in Texas 82 years late. A package was mailed to the San Antonio Library.
A book that had been checked out in 1943.
The library's Scott Williams told KSAT the book is Your Child, His Family and Friends by marriage and family counselor Francis Bruce Strain.
The sender included a letter that tells us a little bit about the history of the book and the history of their family.
A person from Oregon wrote, after the recent death of my father, I inherited a few boxes of books he left behind. He checked out this book when he was 11, taken out by his mother. The family moved to Mexico. The person wrote, I hope there is no late fee for it because Grandma won't be able to pay for it anymore. The library dropped overdue fines in 2021, but the fee would have been, counting inflation, more than $16,000. I'm Ed Donahue.
I'm Haya Pinjwani, AP News.
This is 820 AM, WCPT Willow Springs, and streaming worldwide at WCPT820.com. We are Chicago's progressive talk, where facts matter. Now, your WCPT 820 weather update.
I'm meteorologist Ray Miller from the Weatherology Weather Center. Partly cloudy tonight with a chance of scattered showers and storms. High of 75 degrees with southeast winds at 5 to 10. Saturday, chance of thunderstorms with a high temperature of 89 with southeast winds at 5 to 10 miles an hour. Sunday, chance of thunderstorms with a high of 84 degrees. Monday, chance of storms with a high of 90. Tuesday, chance of storms with a high temperature of 83 degrees. That's the latest Chicago weather update. Right now, it's 91.
If you're drowning in debt, you need to call Team Hochberg, your trusted local lender, about a fresh start debt consolidation refinance. Today, meet Jordan, 47, project manager, married to Jackie, 43, executive assistant, combined income 260 G's a year, living in a $600,000 home with their 3 kids, called to pay off $120,000 worth of credit card debt, high interest rate consumer loans, and 2 401k loans. Team Hochberg loan officer Cindy Piazza helped Jordan and Jackie pay off their debt, eliminated their stress with the Team Hochberg Fresh Start Debt Consolidation Refinance, which saved them over $12,000 a year. Team Hochberg's helped thousands of radio listeners, but we can't help if you don't call 855-563-2843 or visit 56david.com. That number again is 855-563-2843 or visit that website you know and love, 56david.com. Lower.com, equal housing lender, MLS 1124061.
You're listening to WCPT 820 because facts matter.
Driving it home with Patti Vasquez, Patti Vasquez. From global conflicts to greenhouse gases, the folks refusing to wear masks says, and politicians getting caught grabbing asses says, she's driving it home with Patti Vasquez.
Well, hello, everybody. Ben Cominos in for Patti Vasquez on Driving It Home with Patti Vasquez. It is 6 o'clock, which means it's time that we welcome Minnesota, KTNF, AM 950, 1150 KKNW in Seattle, and, of course, WCPT 820 on the Heartland Signal. If you guys don't know who I am, I'm Ben Cominos. I host Outside the Box with Ben Cominos on WHBY Radio in Appleton, Wisconsin. listen to that show. If you're enjoying this, you can listen to it. I should tell you, listen to it on the app. So listen to it on the WHBY app. But realistically, you can listen to it wherever you want to. Just don't tell the people that I work with that I said that. But you've got a pretty open availability for where you'd want to listen. Again, that's Outside the Box with Ben Cominos. This show here is sponsored by Minocqua Brewing, Source Solar, and Kids Above All. And I do want to shout out Minocqua Brewing. I do write for the Minocqua Brewing newsletter with Kirk Bankstead there. I know Kirk Bankstead personally as well. I don't do a lot of interviews on my show. What you guys are listening to here is typically how I do the show, but he was one of the first interviews I did almost a year into my tenure there because of the way they were jerking him around up in Oneida County. So definitely go out to it there, and you can catch my work on his newsletter on Tuesdays if you already are a subscriber. And if you're not a subscriber, I mean, what the hell, man? Like, go subscribe and then go check out what people are writing, because people are putting a lot of time into those, and I think they're worth reading. We were having a conversation. If you're just joining us, first of all, you should get used to when you're listening to me, I very rarely backtrack. You're just going to have to keep up to the best of your ability. But we were talking quite a bit here about the economic situation that we find ourselves in. I was talking about tariffs. We were talking about price increases. We were talking about CEOs bragging about raising prices beyond the cost of the tariffs already. Number of different conversations there. And we actually got a couple of text messages during the break that I did want to go over with you here. And first of all, we did see, apparently, for those of you that maybe were having trouble calling into the station, we were informed via text that apparently Roosevelt was struggling to connect here, saying the phone wasn't working. So we are working to try and address that. So if you have been calling, I promise I'm not ignoring you. I would love to hear from you guys. But unfortunately, until that's working, we still do have the text line, 773-763-9278, 773-763-9278. Mike in Kiwani, who I absolutely love, is texting right now saying, doing a great job, Ben. Love hearing you in Chicago. He actually listens to the show regularly. He was just messaging me this morning about something that I had been talking about. A little bit of a rehash of what we were doing this morning. But I absolutely love that you're here for round two, Mike. So thank you very much for the support. Always appreciate that. And then I got another text. I don't think I have a name on this. This is a new texter, it looks like. I think a great way to begin curbing excess greed would be to remove the cap on Social Security, which would force companies to pay the match on bonuses and stock options. And an added bonus would be to make Social Security solvent forever. To which I responded 1,000%. I'm a very big scrap the cap advocate here. Fun fact, Elon Musk, who has a lower approval rating than Benjamin Netanyahu, so wrap your mind around that on this fine Friday evening here. Elon Musk at 12:04 a.m. on January 1st maxed out his contribution to Social Security. The rest of the time he works from 5 minutes after the ball dropped until the next time the ball dropped, he no longer had to worry about paying into Social Security anymore. I believe it's something like 171,000. I don't have the numbers in front of me, so I apologize if that's not accurate or if it's increased a little bit, but I believe it's roughly 171,000. I'm willing to go out on a limb here and say that around 90% of you guys listening to me probably don't hit that cap. I know I most certainly don't come anywhere near it, so 100% of my income is taxed for Social Security, and I'm absolutely okay with that, as should everybody else. I'm right there with you. I think it's ridiculous that this cap exists, and this is kind of that. It's a great suggestion because it kind of ties into the theme of what I've been talking about with you guys all day here. That it's one thing to be vehemently anti-Trump. It's not particularly hard to be vehemently anti-Trump. The guy sucks pretty bad, right? So you got to come with the policies on top of that there. You have Republicans at least willing to talk about the insolvency of Social Security. But if you let Republicans take the helm on this, then what they're going to do is raise the retirement rate. They're not going to do the anti-billionaire thing. They will never do the anti-billionaire thing. It's the Republican Party. What Democrats need to do is not just pretend that it's not an issue. They need to start running on it now. And I know some of you guys are frustrated by the name, but one senator is proposing Social Security legislation on a regular basis, making it so that retired individuals will be taking home $2,400 a month, and it would be solvent forever. By allowing this to remain unaddressed, that's kind of what opens the door to a Donald Trump. We've got, I'm sure you guys are familiar with the name Derek Van Orden. He's the guy who gets a little inebriated in the Capitol building and then yells at college students, the House of Representatives member for Northwest Wisconsin. He's been chronically posting pictures of a naked man in a mask all over Twitter the last couple of days and claiming that it's Mark Pocan. This is a member of the House of Representatives, and I'm told that I need to watch my mouth by Republicans when I'm doing my show, and this is what the representatives are doing. He posted today bragging that Donald Trump removed taxes from Social Security. You want to know why we had taxes on Social Security? It's when St. Reagan was in office in the early 80s. The first time he passed trickle-down economics, he said, yeah, we're going to blow a massive hole in the debt and deficit by doing this, but don't worry, we'll start taxing Social Security to fix that gap. So Republicans gave a giant tax cut to billionaires, cut or imposed taxes on people who paid taxes their whole life, earned Social Security, and now we're making less as a result of that decision. Then it remained for 40 years of Republican and Democrat rule. And then Donald Trump shows up and says, I'm removing the tax on Social Security while also doing trickle-down economics again. So you know what that means is going to suffer? All the social programs. So I love the idea that you have here. It's a matter of getting it in front of the representatives that have the capacity to do something about this. The number of times I get not universal agreement, let's be real, we're all humans, but it's almost like a chorus. People getting just understanding more and more what the situation is there. I apologize. I got inundated with a couple texts in a row, and it kind of pushed me off my train of thought there. But people are jumping on board with these ideas. They say they like the idea of rent freezes. They say they like the idea of removing the cap. They say they like the idea of increasing the tax rate back to what it used to be. But you need the representatives to back up those claims. And quite frankly, that spins towards Republicans as well. There's MAGAs that call my show that are like, yeah, my brother's gay and he's married and I don't want gay marriage to go away. Does it suck that they need to have a brother that's gay before they actually come to that conclusion? Yeah, it does. I don't know what we can do about the empathy gap. I'm going to be honest with you. But the fact of the matter is, it's out there, and yet the people elected are able to hide behind other things in order to stay in office. And our party representatives do the exact same thing. So it's a matter of finding the people that this is a priority. I'm 37 years old and I'm thinking about this. I'm 30 years away and talking to a microphone for a living. I intend to die on a microphone. I'm not worried about doing this job for the rest of my life. A lot of people don't have that luxury, and a lot of people that have my job are paid to try and convince you that you should be okay with that. I'm here to tell you that there's a way out of this without having to work more, and I think we should probably be aspiring to try and do that one, and it's going to require the representatives who have the fortitude that want to do that as well. And I hope that we have the capacity to find them, but I have no idea, because it always seems to fall to the wayside, or it's a soundbite for a little bit, but then it never actually bubbles up to what what needs to happen. It falls by to the wayside, and it's just very disappointing when those kind of things happen. But I personally love the idea, and I think there's a lot more ideas like that people would be able to get behind. It's I know plenty of people that are working and collecting Social Security at the same time, because Social Security is not enough. It wouldn't have been enough to meet life's standards before the pandemic, let alone in this astronomically priced world that we live in today. It's just not going to work that way. And I hope somebody comes along that would have the ability to do something about it here. But that'll be a time for another day, because Republicans sure as hell aren't going to do it. We got a text here from Mike saying, asking, where do I get the earnings call sound bites? I'd love to send something like that to a friend of mine. So there is an account called Case Study QB that just kind of sits there monitoring all the different mainstream sources. And I also have no mental health, so I have them on in my place when I'm show prepping all the time. I'll tell you what, it weighs on you. It definitely weighs on you to watch these guys talk all the time. But there's times, Mike, where honest to God, I just record what I see on the TV right onto my phone. And then I have access to audio editing software where I can kind of blow up the volume so it doesn't sound like it's a phone interview. You may have even heard That woman there sounds a little creaky on the that I played in the clip in the last hour, and that's partially my bad, but that's just the way that it works there. Let's see here. We got another message from Mark. Ben, love the statistics. I kept hearing over regular media that corporations had been eating the tariffs so the profits go up, and interest groups say inflation is normal. Makes no sense. While Tom Hartman said vegetable prices have gone up over 30%, I saw that as well. Since the big fascists have taken over our democracy, where do we get the correct data now? Well, I'll be honest with you, Mark. So I have built a network of I think I probably use close to 70 different resources when I'm putting shows together, because I'll be honest with you, how do I say this? My show definitely is inspired by what I believe politically, but I don't necessarily force those beliefs in any way. And the longer I do this job, I think I was more naive to how media works. If I wanted an economist to tell me that inflation's down, I could find you that economist. If I wanted an economist to tell you that corporate greed is the exclusive reason for all of the cost increases, I could find you that economist. I could tell you somebody that it makes perfect sense for Jerome Powell to cut the interest rates right now. I could find you somebody to tell you that was the dumbest thing that they ever heard, that Jerome Powell should cut the interest rates right now. It's a matter of trying to find the trend lines, trying to find as many people as you can find wired, not necessarily like you. You got to kind of bounce around to a number of different sources, because you're right. The data out there isn't right. And to be perfectly frank, I filled in for Patty 2 times in January this year. Trump hadn't taken over for Biden yet at that point. And I had a pretty agitated day that day with a lot of callers, because I was highlighting the very stark and obvious reality to anybody under the age of 40 that Bidenomics wasn't working, and that any metrics trying to convince us that inflation was under control or that prices weren't astronomically high was just not factually accurate. And so we're seeing it again now. It's easier to spot if you lean left or are far left, because we got the orange man making the plays now. But so it's always kind of acted this way, and it's just a matter of being able to call it out when you see it. And like I said it last hour, my show is based on facts, but then I also boil it down to my baseline guttural reaction on the matter. No matter what the stats say, I know that the cost of my house is literally almost double than what I paid for it in 2016. And I know that's not normal. The average age of a home buyer right now, according to Fortune.com, is 70 years old. And I know that's not normal. So these numbers, they can hit you with whatever stats you want. You can show me whatever the hell you want. You know what you're looking at. You know what you're seeing, and the cost of goods in this country, the cost of everything in this country is far too high, except for apparently the price of eggs are going down in one of the most ironic twists of fate you could possibly imagine. Everything else is going up, though. You see it everywhere. But so to answer your question, where do I find the stats? Everywhere. You got to stay constant. I get paid to follow this stuff, though, and I realize how hard that is for people that have real jobs. Let me hit one of these before we go here. This is soft, right? Yeah. Oh, yeah, we're good. Don't forget, guys, you can listen to, rate, and share the Driving at Home full episodes and featured interviews. You can rate this, guys. Please give it 5 stars. They're both available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, TuneIn, iHeartRadio, YouTube, and Amazon. Recent additions to Patty's featured interviews podcast are John Fugelsang, Granny Fifi of the Piedmont Raging Grannies, Missouri Democratic House Minority Leader Ashley Aoun, I apologize. I'm so sorry. And Texas Democrat State Rep Chris Turner. Search for Driving at Home with Patti Vasquez, or get the links on Patty's show page by visiting heartlandsignal.com and clicking on her picture. Guys, I see number coming through, including Allison. I definitely know Allison. I will hit all of these text messages as soon as we get back from break. You're listening to AM 820 WCPT.
A better life with Dr. Sanjay Gupta.
These days, it seems like everyone is obsessed with eating as much protein as possible. And I will say this, just about every nutritionist I've talked to agrees that Americans really are probably getting more than enough protein in their diet. Look, protein is an essential macronutrient, no question. The problem is that in order to consume more protein, many people end up eating less of something else. Some research, for example, finds 90% of Americans are deficient in fiber. That is something we should increase. I talked about all this with Dr. Tim Spector, a genetic epidemiologist, on a recent episode of my podcast, Chasing Life. He says if you're looking to add more high-quality protein to your diet without making other sacrifices, try adding beans to more of your meals. Eat more whole grains, nuts, and seeds. And soy, he said, is one of the most complete proteins in the plant world. I'm Dr. Sanjay Gupta, helping you live a better life.
More fiber and laxatives, eh? Who are you? I'm future you. Future me? Constipation with belly pain still coming back? Our doctor figured it out. It's irritable bowel syndrome with constipation, or IBS-C, and Linzess could help you get ahead of it.
Linzess linaclotide is a prescription medicine that treats IBS-C in adults. It's not a laxative. It's a once-daily pill that helps you get ahead of your symptoms. It's proven to help you have more frequent and complete bowel movements and helps relieve overall abdominal symptoms, belly pain, discomfort, and bloating. These symptoms were studied in combination, not individually. Do not give Linzess to children less than 2. It may harm them. Do not take Linzess if you have a bowel blockage. Get immediate help if you develop unusual or severe stomach pain, especially with bloody or black stools. The most common side effect is diarrhea, sometimes severe. If it's severe, stop taking Linzess and call your doctor right away. Other side effects include gas, stomach area pain, and swelling. Talk to your doctor and say yes to Linzess. Learn more at linzess.com or call 1-800-LINZESS.
Alexa, play WCPT.
WCPT from TuneIn.
Hi, this is Patti Vasquez. We appreciate all our fans of Driving It Home, and your support of show sponsor Minocqua Brewing Company ensures that our important conversations continue right here on WCPT each weekday from 5 to 7 p.m. You can now find the Resistance IPA, Labor Lager, or the Resistance Pilsner beer at several Illinois locations, including Arminetti Wine and Spirits in Woodstock, Pineapple and Company in North Riverside, Lions Beverage Depot in Arlington Heights, and MP's Liquor, Wine, and Beer in North Aurora. For a full list of Chicagoland locations, please visit MinocquaBrewingCompany.com. As always, please vote and drink responsibly.
From city streets to political beats, you're driving it home with Patti Vasquez. Where progressive talk fuels the ride.
Listen to me. I don't know how to tell you this. It's not Patti. It's Ben Cominos from WHBY, Outside the Box with Ben Cominos. Patti was in the building, but she was gallivanting around Iowa for the last couple of days, and it had been a day they didn't know if they'd be here. So I'm here, and that's why you guys have to deal with me today, and I'm thrilled to be here with you guys. Text lines are wide open here, guys. We got a couple of texts I'm going to jump into. A little bit of phone troubles, but I do love hearing from you guys. So if you're not driving, hit me up on the text line 773-763-9278, 773-763-9278. I got to say, I'm having a lot of fun with you guys. I love doing this for a living, and I'm thankful that Patti gave me the opportunity to fill in with again, because I had a lot of fun doing this the last time as well. And I look forward to continuing it doing it with you here too, because you guys get me. You guys know what I'm about. So many of you guys backing in. I don't know if any of you guys read current affairs, but there's an article out there right now called Alex Skopik, and the article's called "The Left is Always Right Too Early." And I refer to it on my show as the plight of the progressive. That it's our burden to be right about crap. In his article, just in the top part of it here, he talks about from slavery to child labor in the 19th century to the Iraq War and Gaza today. The left population has been accepted only after horrible human costs. And I would even add Vietnam and Occupy Wall Street into that conversation as well. I actually took part in the Occupy Wall Street protests, and I remember being told that I was a lazy hippie that didn't want to work for a living and didn't understand that people older than me should be making more money than me. 13 years later, turns out corporate greed is everywhere, and we've been getting fleeced for several decades in a row. Go figure. And now here we are, not even 2 years into the Gaza situation. I remember doing segments on shows being told that my support of the college students on the college campuses was anti-Semitic. And now here we are saying, hey, has anybody noticed that there's large populations of people being starved in the Middle East? And it always ends up panning out that way. And that's why I like doing this talk with you guys, because I know there's a lot of people that end up being right much quicker. The worst part about that, too, is that eventually everybody else catches up and they pretend that they got there before before you did, and there's nothing that enrages me more than that when they start talking to you like it was their idea first. I'll tell you what. Let's get to these text messages here. Allison, who messages every time that I do my segment with Patty, and I love that I get a chance to react with you live here because I'm sure you're working when my show's on. She says, great job filling in. I listen to your show also. What are your thoughts regarding the Electoral College? I think that it is frustrating now. Okay. I think it's a backward system. If I realize this is a dated example now because I don't even think it's a show, and also I hate reality TV, but if American Idol, when it was at the height of its popularity, if you told the people that watched American Idol, yeah, so this person got the most votes, but actually we do it on a state-by-state basis, and some of the states count as more votes than other states. So even though this one singer got the most votes, we're actually going to say that this person is the American Idol, and we're going to give them the contract. There would be riots in the streets. There would actually be riots in the streets if that happens. Unfortunately, though, the Electoral College feels like one of those things that's kind of like baked into the system. Like, why does the clock stop at 2 minutes before halftime in the end of a football game? Because it's a 2-minute warning. Okay, why is that different than any other time? Well, it's the rules. It's the way that it's always been. Like, it's hard to think about things, and my show's called Outside the Box. It encourages people to think outside the box. Getting the overwhelming majority of the public to feel that way, though, is another thing entirely. I don't know how long you've been listening today, Allison, but the whole theme of the show here has been highlighting that progressive policies are popular in right-leaning areas. The main polling data that caught my eye was Zohran Mamdani polling 23%. That the red beret-wearing Republican, I can't even, Sliwa or whatever his name is up in New York, he is still at 40% amongst Republicans. But second place is Freeze the Rent, state-run grocery stores, Democratic Socialist Zohran Mamdani polling in second with almost 1 in 4 Republican voters saying, like, yeah, bring it on. So, like, the Electoral College feels like an insurmountable burden, but I'm here to argue that if an actual progressive, a truly progressive candidate made it to the top of the ticket, there's a lot of states that I think people as left-leaning politicos have chalked up as, well, that's going to be red till I die. You would see turn blue because we are 8 months into this Trump presidency. The economy's falling apart. Everything's falling apart. Nothing is getting better, and he can hide the stats as much as he can. People that have common sense, even within the MAGA movement, are going to catch on to the fact that his job numbers aren't as high as however high his Heritage Foundation lackeys are going to tell you they are. Houses won't be achievable, and they'll be drowning more and more in debt every year. Look at the trend lines for delinquencies, on 90-day delinquencies, on credit cards, student payments, car loans, and all that. No president's going to be able to absorb this, but there has to be an alternative that people can see a way to trust. G from the PNW says, not only will we pay more for goods due to greed and tariffs, but you pay more in state sales taxes as well. That's a very good point, too. As the prices go up, the taxes go up as well. There's part of me that wonders if that's not the point of the game, G. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't know if you've seen the numbers in Vegas, but Vegas's numbers are absolutely plummeting. And in terms of, it was a 20% reduction in hotel traffic from June to July, and it was a 20% reduction from May to June. They're pricing the quote-unquote riffraff out of Las Vegas. I went there when I was in sales still back in 2017, and I got a prime rib buffet for $4.50, and you drank for free as long as you were gambling. I had people calling me in Wisconsin last week when I was talking about this, saying 2 tall glass vodka cranberries cost $70, and a prime rib buffet was $90. They're pricing people out, and I swear to God it's intentional because they know there's segments of the population that'll say, well, you don't need all the nicest things. Maybe if you don't make enough to order a $27 burger, you don't deserve to eat burgers. As we watch ourselves completely get fleeced, it's breaking through the partisanship that will allow us to be able to call this out, though, and it has to be done 100% of the time. I'm being told I still have to do this for another half an hour, but we have to get to break first. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to that news break, and then we're going to put a bow on this show in just a minute. You're listening to AM 820 WCPT.
You are listening to WCPT 820. Here's the latest Chicago weather update.
I'm meteorologist Ray Miller from the Weatherology Weather Center. Partly cloudy tonight with a chance of scattered showers and storms. High of 75 degrees with southeast winds at 5 to 10. Saturday, chance of thunderstorms with a high temperature of 89 with southeast winds at 5 to 10 miles an hour. Sunday, chance of thunderstorms with a high of 84 degrees. Monday, chance of storms with a high of 90. Tuesday, chance of storms with a high temperature of 83 degrees. That's the latest Chicago weather update. Right now, it's 90.
This is Chicago's Progressive Talk, 820 AM, WCPT Willow Springs, and online at WCPT820.com, where facts matter.
This is WCPT telling you how you can shop blue. Donald Trump has implemented a barbaric anti-immigration policy with mass deportations and having ICE agents showing up unannounced at people's homes, workplaces, and anywhere they suspect, separating families, ruining lives, and deporting people without any due process. But one company is taking a stand against Donald Trump. Greyhound Bus Lines has implemented a no warrant, no boarding policy. This prohibits ICE agents to enter the vehicle without a warrant. Greyhound Bus says they want to guarantee the rights and civil liberties of their passengers. Greyhound Bus is the largest inner-city bus system in the U.S., with over 1,600 destinations. Maybe this will lead to more companies stepping up like Greyhound is. This has been WCPT telling you that you can shop blue.
Hi, I'm Martha Stewart. Every year, more than 4 million pets enter shelters here in the United States. My friends at American Humane have been helping animals since 1877. The goal is to ensure that pets have a safe shelter, especially during natural disasters. Adopting a shelter pet allows shelters to help more animals awaiting care. Please consider adopting today and take some time to learn more about American Humane's other work at americanhumane.org.
Chicago's Progressive Talk, WCPT 820, where facts matter.
If you're listening to this station right now, you've definitely heard my voice before. Hi, I'm Hawk.
And I'm Pete. And we're with Source Solar, your local source for solar. Source Solar is Chicagoland's premier solar installer, providing solutions for over 1,000 homeowners and business owners across Illinois and Iowa.
With over a decade of industry experience and deep roots here in Chicago, we have the expertise to help your transition to clean, renewable, resilient energy.
We can guarantee that we save you money day one without any out-of-pocket cost to you. This means you have an instant ROI, instant payback, and can save money to add to your bottom line day one.
At Source Solar, we source everything as local as possible, meaning we always carry the Made in USA sticker.
Find us online at www.source.solar. Stop in our office at 5710 North Northwest Highway or give us a call at 773-985-3992.
And don't forget to ask for Hawk
or Pete.
No detours, no distractions. Just bold ideas and real talk. This is Driving It Home with Patti Vasquez.
All right. Ben Cominos, I almost said WHBY, AM 820 WCPT, filling in for Patti Vasquez here, final half hour on the drive home. If you don't recognize the voice, I host Outside the Box with Ben Cominos, WHBY Radio. If you like this show, it's essentially the show that I do every single day, but the stories change, as you well know. You can check that out on the WHBY app, or realistically, don't tell my boss I said this, but you can listen to it anywhere: Spotify, Apple Podcasts, TuneIn, all those places. It's a very fun show. Lots of callers there as well, and in texters. And I got to say, there's one guy that listens to me out in West Virginia. It's such a breath of fresh air to not have 57 text messages a day where it just says, maybe if millennials knew how to work a shovel, they could buy a house. Like, you guys are actually sympathetic and understand the situation and the economy, the way that it works. And let me just tell you, it's just such a breath of fresh air to deal with this. Not to say that you guys weren't a bit combative when I was taking my shots at our girl Kamala there, but now that we got a Trump presidency, a Republican House, a Republican Senate, and a Republican Supreme Court, I think we can all agree with where I'm aiming my vitriol these days, right? And that's why it's been a very enjoyable experience for everybody involved. Mark actually brought up, just as we were going to break there, Obama won Indiana, and that kind of fits in exactly with the point that I was trying to make there, is that when you capture the imagination of voters, like while the Electoral College does suck, it's not the problem that we think it is. The problem that exists, and don't get me wrong, if you've ever driven through rural Wisconsin, when I make the ride to do the live shows with Patty down at Minocqua Brewing in Madison, I'll be driving, and if I'm driving the station vehicle, I listen to the terrestrial radio stations, and once you get to a certain point, it's like country, 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 all of your problems are because of immigrants. Country, religion, we got to cut Elon Musk's taxes. And, like, that's what they're hearing 24/7. There is no WCPT. There is no outside the box where they're listening. And reaching some of those individuals may be difficult. However, as material situations begin to dwindle, I think there's an opportunity for a truly inspirational candidate to pop out of nowhere and actually make a little bit of headway there in the political world. But we got to figure out who that person is before I attach myself to anything like that. I have multiple listeners to Outside the Box that are Obama, Trump, meaning they did Obama, Trump. Had no interest in McCain, had no interest in Romney, but then switched over. And you can ascribe whatever, and I mean the royal you, not you, Mark. All of you listening can ascribe whatever belief system, whether you think that it is racism and misogyny, if it is the fact that the Rust Belt was slowly dwindling for decades, and I think a lot of us didn't care until they nominated Donald Trump. We were like, okay, hold on, we just noticed that the rural parts of the country exist too. There is an element of Democrats not necessarily playing the game well for the last couple of decades. To put it in perspective, I say it about ratings working in media all the time. I don't know how they do ratings in Chicago, but we have diaries in Wisconsin, and the way that works is they mail out hundreds, if not thousands, of little books to people all over the state, and they basically say, what do you listen to and at what times? And then if you take the time to physically write in your answers in 2025, if you take the time to write your answers into a journal and then seal them back up and mail them back to the people that tabulate ratings, you get like a couple $100s in coupons or like gift cards or something like that for your time. So like there is an impetus to do so. And then your ratings are derived from what the books say when they come back. And it'll say at the bottom, like, 2% of all the books mailed out came back. Is that a reasonable assumption of what's going on? No. But what I always say to people I work with is, if we're all playing by the same broken rules, then it's just a matter of understanding how those rules work and manipulating them to your advantage. No, manipulating is the wrong word. Gaming them to your advantage. Like understanding, okay, you got to get to 270. Here's how this works. And I feel like for quite a long time, it seems like people were resting on their laurels as manufacturing disappeared, as during the housing crisis, we decided to bail out banks and allow millions of people to lose their homes. I've got diehard Trumpers that listen to my show that say, Ben, in 2008, I lost my home and I lost my business. I lost everything. And I've rebuilt everything from the ground up. And now you're trying to tell me that we need to forgive student loans after what I went through. There are people that will always be mad about the past. But it doesn't mean you can't win the people of the future. And that's the way that this vision has to work. If the Electoral College is the way that we're going to do things, and I'm going to be honest, it is dumb. I don't see it going anywhere because as long as one party benefits from it, and kind of to tie it into gerrymandering, it's hard to convince someone else to do it on a state-by-state basis. If it's a heavy D gerrymander or a heavy R gerrymander, why would they ever stop doing it, right? Until the power shifted enough where they weren't able to control it. The only way you get rid of it is when you do it on the national level. But again, on the national level, Republicans aren't getting rid of that Electoral College until, of course, it does swing against them. If farmers do feel these tariffs, if they do lose their farm, if they realize Republicans call the estate tax the death tax, because when you call it the estate tax, you realize that you have to own an estate before it actually impacts you, a.k.a. someone needs to be inheriting $14 million before the estate tax kicks in. The second people start realizing these things, the more they start to realize, oh, maybe these guys might be fleecing me a little bit more than I realized. But again, there's got to be people meaning business on the other side of it. And I hope that we come across that there when we do. And to that effect, WPR, the NPR Wisconsin branch there, was reporting just as I was driving in, and I wanted to get this in front of you guys, the flood damage from the rains earlier this week. 13,000 people suffered property damage in southeastern Wisconsin. Once in a generation, they say a once in 1,000-year storm is essentially what it looks like. Now, there's a right-wing hack station in Milwaukee that will tell you that it has nothing to do with climate change, so you probably have to take them at their word for it. But those of you that can read, and we understand that this is as a result of climate change, that's actually kind of what I want to talk to you guys about here. So 13,000 people impacted by property damage, some of them seen as much as 25, 30,000, if not more, from the water that came down just a couple of days ago. Thousands of them filed claims for floodwater damage, and they are finding out that flood damage to buildings is not covered by home or renters insurance unless they purchase specific flood policies. So let's look at this for a second. If hail came down from the sky and damaged your house under a generic policy, you get covered from the hail coming down. But if water coming down from the sky damages your home, you do not get paid out on the damage to your home. On top of this, the insurance companies insure oil and gas projects all over the nation. They insure these projects that we have confirmation are exacerbating the climate catastrophe that we are dealing with. To show you just how much this is an impact, there has been movement in both California and Florida. I'm going to say that again. California and Florida are in political agreement to nationalize their insurance companies because the cost of continuing to insure these buildings is growing so astronomical that nobody can afford it. And then when their house gets washed away, they are officially homeless without any kind of recourse or capacity to do anything. Ron DeSantis and Gavin Newsom are both on the same page with the way that their state should address this. But don't tell DeSantis, but that's socialism. So be careful. Don't let him know that that's what he's pulling for. But by the way, that is a good move, and I do agree with it. And for the record, when it comes to places like Florida and to a certain extent with the wildfires, California, we should have a conversation about whether or not some of these areas have become uninhabitable, because I realize money doesn't grow on trees. And if you're going to insist on living in a floodplain, maybe we need to start thinking about some kind of recourse, some kind of like the government will put you somewhere comparable, but you got to get out of these danger zones. But when you're talking about southeast Milwaukee, where this was a once-in-a-generation situation. Apparently, the last time something like this happened was 1987. You know what else happened in 1987? I was born. So, like, that's a long time. I did a lot of stuff in those 37 years. So during those 37 years, nothing like this ever happened. And these people are now finding themselves in a situation where they might not be able to afford it. Insert FEMA, the Federal Emergency Management Agency. I'm sure you guys are familiar with it. Donald Trump actually floated getting rid of them entirely and leaving it to the states earlier this year. Funny how that turned around to rear its ugly head very quickly. We've got Senator Tammy Baldwin, Representative Gwen Moore, as well as Republican Brian Stile, all signing on to a letter asking Donald Trump to declare a federal emergency so that the people who are getting screwed over by homeowners insurance and by renters insurance will still have a capacity to get federal dollars to help them do what they need to do. I have no idea what those dollar amounts look like, what FEMA's going to provide for them, how that's going to impact it. We don't even know if Donald Trump's actually going to sign for it or not. But where it stands right now, there are about 10,000 people who are struggling right now, either not being able to live in their home or possibly even losing part of their home to this damage without any possibility for recourse. And you'll never guess what insurance companies are doing. Spoiler warning, raking in record profits. Those profits are at the behest of not paying out the people that have been paying in for so long. And there's going to come a time where this comes to a head because it cannot continue to work this way. If you're going to, as an insurance company, insure these projects that are exacerbating the problem, you sure as hell don't get to turn around and then say, hey, do you guys see this climate change stuff? We're going to have to jack your rates up. You don't get to cherry pick on both sides. Take your pick. You want to throw your lot in with oil and gas and you want to pay out the rear end to help people out whenever the outcomes of your actions hit you? Great. You want to abandon them and then start charging people less for insurance because climate change will begin to go down when they can't find the capacity to insure? Great. But you don't get to pick and choose which sides of climate change you're going to you're going to benefit from, because it seems like you're double dipping, and there needs to be a movement to kind of stop this kind of stuff here. We are up against a break here, so we still have one more segment before we're calling it a show. I'm Ben Cominos from Outside the Box with Ben Cominos and WHBY, filling in for Patti Vasquez today. The sponsored phone and text line, which I should have been reading more, whoops. The Credo mobile phone and text line is 773-763-9278. I'd love to get a couple more text messages, 773-763-9278. And WCPT listeners now get 25% off for 2 years at Credo Mobile with the code WCPT25. Credo Mobile, a progressive phone company that is better for all people and the planet. Visit credomobile.com. We've got one more segment on the other side of the break before I call it a weekend, and hopefully you guys take part. You're listening to Driving It Home with Patti Vasquez here on AM 820 WCPT.
This is First Take at Daybreak with Al Kendall. Sundays, 7 a.m., where sharp minds meet real conversations. From city programs making a difference to guests shaping Chicagoland's future, Al's got the mic and the message. You'll hear from folks like Board President Tony Preckwinkle, city and county officials, and maybe even your alderman. He has a rotating cast of insiders who actually know what's going on. If you want the headlines and the backstory, start your morning here. First Take at Daybreak. Sundays, 7 a.m., unplugged and unfiltered.
That's the sound of the ComEd Energy Efficiency Program, saving you money and energy. With rebates on Energy Star appliances, so you can come back to a home full of savings. Discover more ways to save at ComEd.com/home savings. ComEd, powering lives.
Teachers are dynamic leaders shaping a new generation. They bring a variety of perspectives from diverse backgrounds, innovating how they teach to prepare students for our fast-changing world. They're skilled experts, discovering a universe of solutions, telling stories, inspiring, mentoring, connecting cultures, leading by example. Teaching is a journey that shapes lives. Are you ready? Explore teaching at teach.org, supported by the U.S. Department of Education and 1 million teachers of color.
Doctors Without Borders is delivering life-saving medical care where it's needed most in communities around the world. From bandaging war-wounded patients in Sudan to providing clean drinking water in Haiti, we're in more than 70 countries worldwide, bringing patients from sick to recovering, from emergency to aid, from crisis to care. This life-saving care is made possible by a global movement of supporters like you. Thank you.
Because facts matter. You are listening to WCPT 820.
From city streets to political beats, you're driving it home with Patti Vasquez, where progressive talk fuels the ride.
Oh, hey, I'm back. Ben Cominos filling in for Patti Vasquez on Driving It Home with Patti Vasquez. I host the show Outside the Box with Ben Cominos on WHBY Radio in Appleton, Wisconsin. You can catch me 8:30s to 11, or just, just listen to it whenever, guys. I don't care. Just listen to the show. It's a good show. You guys will get into it. People are really buying into it in Northeast Wisconsin. I think you'd have a lot of fun with it, too. I have a good time. I'm sorry. Who's the Bush League talk show host that left his phone volume on? Jeez, oh man, that's on me. I apologize, guys. But nevertheless, I'm a little punch drunk at this point because I'm on hour 4 of radio for the day. And to be perfectly frank, I know this isn't healthy, but I haven't taken a day off in a very long time. I'm actually going home to my hometown of Pittsburgh next week after my show on Wednesday. So I'm only doing a half week, and then I'm going to be down there until Tuesday, which I'm definitely looking forward to do. It's the longest I've gone without seeing my dad and brother, so it's a very strange sensation even moving out here. Moving to Appleton was my first not living in Pittsburgh. I had moved before, but just within the city, and I remember telling them I'll be home every 6 weeks. And that was such an unrealistic thing to promise. That's absolutely a seam. I would have hated that. And I love them, but it's a long process here. But so we're an hour 4. And while I'm here, actually, I probably should have plugged this more. But if you like what you're hearing, but you're I'd like to see when this guy's not angry about stuff all the time. I also host a movie podcast called Off Topic with Ben and Balky. I do it with a coworker of mine who hosts a sports show. I do a segment with him every week, and I would always drag the conversation into movies, and our text line would get so mad because they'd be like, guys, I want to hear about sports, not whatever stupid horror movie Ben saw yesterday. And so we decided to take those conversations and turn it into a podcast called Off Topic, which is also available on the WHBY website. And I reviewed the Naked Gun reboot in the most recent episode. We have 6 episodes up. We've recorded 12, though, so they'll be coming out for the foreseeable future. Really funny show, or really funny movie. So if you are a movie person, I promise you I am your guy. And we'd have a lot of fun with a number of the listening to what they have there. And if you have any suggestions about what you would want to see us review, I always welcome those as well. So that's called Off Topic. And of course, the Politico show is Outside the Box there. So hopefully you guys have enjoyed these couple of hours here and would like to hear more about the way we do things. Let's see here. I have a feeling this person. Let's see. Aren't most of the people who got big flood damage in Wisconsin recently living in the Milwaukee area and therefore probably Democrats? I mean, yeah, probably. Although the WPR, the Wisconsin Public Radio website, who I got this story from originally, interviewed an individual, Brandon Danowski, who was kind of explaining the situation, talking about how he had been turned down for this insurance. And he is directly quoted in the interview saying, I got to write a letter to my boy Donald Trump, see if he'll give us some disaster relief. I'm waiting for him to walk down 81st Street. So you can play this Democrats, Republicans bullcrap. I don't play that game, though. A bunch of people got flood damage and deserve to receive the federal dollars because the federal dollars would be going somewhere else. I can't tell if that was a trolling idiot or if that was a genuine question, but it feels like a trolling idiot question. So I'm kind of answering it like a trolling idiot question. It felt like a stupid question. You need to do better than this, man, because it doesn't matter who you voted for when your house got flooded. The country never worked that way. It never worked that way before. And I remember when a bunch of you were throwing a little hissy fit because one individual within FEMA was being a jagoff, ignoring MAGA houses in North Carolina during the flood damage there just before the presidency, but now ignoring an entire city because Democrats are there from the top is all of a sudden acceptable. Get the hell out of here with that. I don't have any time for that kind of nonsense. That's the kind of stuff that I don't abide. I welcome all opinions when I do my kind of show. But if you're going to be a jag, I got no time for it. That's kind of the way that I look at these things. There's a talk show host in Milwaukee that tried to get me canceled. He tagged my radio station on Twitter. It was right after the Epstein file debacle happened. And I went underneath him because he was doing a story about how actually Hillary Clinton was involved in the biggest scandal of that day, because of course he was. And so I go underneath him and I tweet something to the effect of, hey, any comments about how your president is almost certainly, actually your P-word grabbing president was almost certainly at the very least covering for a pedophile ring, if not completely involved in it. And so he tagged me in that tweet. It was like, WHBY, are you comfortable with the reporting that your talk show host is doing here? And I immediately hopped underneath it and went, yes, they are. And when I got into work the next day, they were like, what did you do yesterday? And I said, spot the lie in what I'm saying. I was like, you can be pro-Trump all you want. Nothing I say, I never make crap up. As I say, sometimes our media infrastructure goes a little bit over the top calling this guy out. You don't need to. You can just keep it within the realm of the crap he's doing, and you sound absolutely justifiable in your beliefs about him when you just talk about the stuff he's doing. Now, anytime I switched his name, you know what? I shouldn't give his name away, but I do have a nickname for him. I'm going to say it. I call him Dancel Culture, and you can figure out who it is maybe. He's a Milwaukee talk show host, and anytime he tries to post anything now, I call him out. I'm like, hey, remember when I embarrassed you in front of your pedophile friends and you tried to cancel me? Because these guys are snowflakes when it's all said and done, and it seems like the texter there tried to get me to be a snowflake, but unfortunately, I was raised around Republicans, buddy. You don't understand. I'm left-wing packaging in a right-wing body. You cannot get to me. I will hurt your feelings well before you will hurt mine, so do not play this game with me. It's very funny. I know Patty deals with this kind of stuff as well, and she absolutely handles it in her way, and I respect the hell out of the way she does it. I don't mince words. I wish I would have known that we're going here. I'm actually going to try and talk to you while I try and look this up at the same time. But I have a guy, I give nicknames to my dumber listeners, and I have a new one who I named MAGA Matt, because he told me last week that apparently I say the word MAGA with so much derisiveness in my voice, my word, obviously not his, that he's like, it sounds like you hate half the country every single time you say MAGA. I'm like, did you not hear my show when Joe Biden was president? Like, what the hell are you talking about? And he proceeds to send me 9 texts or emails in a row being like, bro, I'm shaking right now. I can't believe you'd accuse Donald Trump of doing something authoritarian. And I'm like, all right, buddy, you can either sit down or you can call in, but like, I don't know what you expect me to say. All I'm saying are the things that he's doing and the things that he's saying, and you're melting like a little snowflake. So I just have my little, I have my way of dealing with these guys as well. And I gotta say, whatever your name is, texter, you lost this one. We got one from Diane saying, welcome. You're doing a wonderful job. Well, thank you so much. With all of the directed cutbacks, it seems they are culling the herd of the old, the weak, the sick, the infirm, the LGBTQ, and keeping everyone else under control by having to scrape by week to week. You are less able to protest under these conditions. You're absolutely right, and I don't think that's by accident either. I actually believe... I can definitely fit this in a minute and a half. I actually believe that that's why Elon Musk bought Twitter, because before Elon Musk bought Twitter, it was an awesome pipeline to learn about union success, organizing efforts. I could find earnings calls at the drop of a hat to highlight which companies were fleecing us. Elon Musk bought it, and now like my feed is like videos of high school kids fighting one another that I obviously am not interacting with, and a number of other things that I just don't care about. And it seems very clear to me that the powers that be prevent this kind of stuff. Since they are Dems and the right-wingers who are running the country wouldn't really care and will keep pushing the climate narrative as if it is a hoax. I mean, maybe. Give them the freaking money. It's not rocket science here. Give them the freaking money and move on. Like, I don't care if they want to keep saying it's a climate hoax. Whatever. The damage happened. Like, that's... It's Friday. I'm Ben Cominos. I host Outside the Box up in Appleton. We got to go here. I got to get rolling. I host Outside the Box on WHBY. Download the WHBY app. All you got to do is search WHBY in Google Play or in the App Store. You can also listen on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, literally anywhere that you listen to podcasts. I got to go. I had so much fun. I can't wait to come back and do this with you guys again. We're going to have Rick Smith on coming up next here, right after another news break here. Thank you so much. Have fun. Go Buccos. We'll talk to you guys later. This is Ben Cominos.
There are 1,000 ways to say it.
Nope. Knock it off. Shut it down. Dream on. No dice. Give it a rest. Not a chance.
Or just...
All text. You focus on the road.
As a passenger, you have the power to prevent an accident. There are 1,000 ways to stop a distracted driver. Choose one.
A message from CTIA.
Every day, we go about our lives driven by routine. Our vision clouded by the very normalcy we take for granted. Countless victims of human trafficking walk among us, invisible.